Your tank looks fine. Clear water, fish moving, plants doing plant things, and meanwhile the structure holding it together is being shaved down in places you don't look at. If you want to catch this stuff early, hit subscribe so I can feed this little guy, he's getting kinda hungry. Nothing dramatic has to happen for an aquarium to start failing. Most of the damage comes from normal days stacked on top of each other. Mistake number 1 is cleaning away the parts that actually hold stability. A tank can be spotless and still be hanging together with dental floss. Most people think stability lives in the water. Numbers, charts, little color strips that turn purple and judge you. But the real backbone of the tank is glued to everything you're trying to make look nice. I'm talking about glass, rocks, wood, filter media, the places you clean when company comes over. That slimy layer everyone hates, that's biofilm, not dirt, not neglect. It's a working neighborhood. Bacteria don't live as lone heroes converting ammonia in isolation. They live in layered, cooperative mats that share oxygen, process waste at different speeds, and absorb shock when something changes. Biofilm is why tanks don't immediately fall apart when life happens. So naturally, we remove it. We scrape glass until it squeaks. We rinse filter media until it looks new. We scrub decorations like they're evidence. Every move feels responsible. The tank looks cleaner, healthier, like it just graduated from aquarium finishing school. What actually happens is the system loses redundancy. Nothing explodes right away. The fish don't panic. Water tests smile right back at you. That's the trick. You've shaved off the parts that make the tank resilient, so now stability depends on fewer surfaces doing more work. The tank still functions, it's just brittle now. Later, when something small goes wrong, there's no cushion, no buffer, no biological shock absorber left. And when it fails, it feels sudden, even though the damage happens slowly, politely, and with a scrub brush. Mistake number 2 is letting fish outgrow the system that raised them. A tank can raise fish beautifully and still quietly fall behind them. A 2-inch fish is not half the bioload of a 4-inch fish. It's more like a different job entirely. As fish mature, bodies thicken, metabolisms ramp up, and gills move more water every hour. More food in and more waste out. More oxygen burned just to exist. The bacteria don't quite get the memo. They just work harder. And nothing about this feels dangerous while it's happening. Take a common pleco, the kind that starts life looking like a decorative sticker with opinions. At 3 inches, it's cute, mostly invisible, and biologically manageable. The tank cruises, parameters behave, you feel validated. But fast forward, that same pleco is now 8 inches, shaped like a submarine and producing waste like it's mad at you personally. It eats more, respires more, and loads the biofilter every night while you're asleep and feeling proud of your setup. The tank still looks the same, that's the betrayal. Water changes still work, just not as cleanly. Debris show up faster in corners, oxygen demand creeps up, especially overnight when plants stop helping. Recovery from small disturbances take longer, but never long enough to trigger panic. So you compensate. Bigger water changes, more frequent cleaning, slightly more effort to get the same results. A system that raised a juvenile pleco isn't always a system that can house an adult one. It just never had a moment where it could object. When something finally tips, like a warm week, a skipped water change, or a heavier feeding, it feels sudden and unfair. The fish didn't change overnight, it just grew into a bioload the tank quietly stopped being built for. Mistake number 3 is treating substrate like decoration instead of biology. Substrate is not just a floor, it's a city, but we keep redecorating it like it's a rug. See, every grain holds bacteria and oxygen gradients from between layers. Waste settles, gets processed, and feeds systems that never touch the water column directly. When substrate is left mostly alone, it works like a slow, quiet stabilizer, catching problems before they ever feel like problems. But then we attack it. Aggressive gravel vacuums tear through bacterial zones that took months to organize. Deep clean sessions turn layered biology into soup. On the other end, Never touching it lets detritus compact into low oxygen pockets that quietly ferment until they decide today's the day. The dangerous part is the delay. You vacuum hard and nothing happens. You stir the substrate for aesthetics and the tank smiles back. Days pass, weeks pass, then stability feels thinner. Parameters bounce more easily. Fish act slightly wrong in ways you can't screenshot. Substrate damage doesn't crash tanks. It removes their ability to absorb mistakes. Once these biological layers are gone, waste hits the water column faster. Oxygen demand spikes more sharply, and small disturbances stop getting buffered. And because the disruption happened long before the symptoms, substrate never gets blamed. It just sits there, looking decorative, while the system quietly loses one of its biggest shock absorbers. Mistake number 4 is thinking that activity equals comfort. Fish can look productive while actively having a bad time. They're very professional about it. Movement gets mistaken for happiness because it's loud. Swimming fish feel like success. So when a tank is full of motion, everyone relaxes, even though stress and comfort wear the same outfit from across the room. As systems tighten, oxygen becomes the quiet villain. Waste processing burns oxygen, and warmer water holds less oxygen. This is especially bad overnight when plants clock out and the tank enters its figure it out phase. Fish respond the only way they know how to. Faster breathing, more movement, and more water pushed across gills. To us, that can look like energy, engagement. Wow, they're really active today. To the fish, it's cardio. They pace. They hover and flow like it owes them money. They never fully park. Rest becomes brief, shallow, and constantly interrupted. The body stays switched on because shutting down isn't an option. Chronic stress doesn't look dramatic. It looks like a fish that never stops doing laps. That's why this one fools people. The tank looks alive, busy, thriving even. Meanwhile, immune systems are running hot. Recovery takes longer, and tolerance for anything drops to 0. When something finally breaks, it feels unfair. The fish were eating, they were moving, they were always doing something. Exactly. They were working too hard all the time. Mistake number 5 is adding just one more fish over time. Most tanks don't just get overstocked, they get negotiated into being overstocked. One fish feels harmless. One exception feels earned. One deal feels temporary. Each addition happens far apart enough that the tank never gets the chance to complain. Everything holds, so the decision gets filed under fine, and we move on with our lives. But the system does not move on. Every new fish pulls on the same shared resources: oxygen, bacterial capacity, physical space for waste to land and get processed. The hit is small, which is why it's allowed. Nothing spikes, nothing crashes. The tank adapts just enough to keep you comfortable, but margin is being spent. Water changes still work, but they recover less ground. Debris shows up faster. Nighttime oxygen dips hit harder. The tank stops forgiving missed days and small mistakes, but only a little at a time, so it feels like a bad luck instead of math. The final fish almost never looks like the problem. It's just the one who arrived when the system was already tired. By the time fixes stop working, there's no single bad choice to point at. You didn't do something reckless, you did something reasonable several times in a row. That's how healthy tanks quietly run out of room to breathe. Nothing here breaks a tank overnight, and that's why it's so easy to miss. These are the slow cuts, the stuff that feels responsible and even proud. The tank looks healthy right up until it stops absorbing normal life happening inside of it. When water changes don't bounce things back anymore, when cleaning feels less effective, and when the tank reacts harder to smaller problems. That's not just bad luck, it's the system that has been quietly thinning out over time. There's a point where that thinning crosses a line and the aquarium stops being recoverable in the way people expect. That moment and how people accidentally walk straight into it is what the aquarium mistake you can't undo is all about, so check it out.